Welcome back to Regal Behind the Chair. Today I have a special guest with me, my boy Smaqs.
Let's go.
He got a dope story, been through a lot, and does a lot for the community. Me personally, I love doing shit for the community, so, that's how me and him connected. So, tell us about yourself, bro. Introduce yourself.
Yeah, man, my name is Smaqs. A lot of people out there know me as Smaqs. I'm from Southeast San Diego, California. I moved out to Utah in 2007. You know what I mean? And like you said, I do a lot of community work, you know what I mean, out there in the prisons. And I'm pretty sure we'll get to it later on in the show. But I came from a life of, both my parents are ex-gang members, you know what I mean, did what they could to try to provide for us. I came from poverty. I came from a long lineage of incarceration and addiction, you know what I mean? So unfortunately, I kind of got caught up in that reality, especially coming from Southeast San Diego, living in poverty, right?
When did you move out here?
I moved out here in 2007.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I moved out in 2007, but yeah, man, like being out there in Dago, being out there in Southeast, you know what I mean? Like I said, it's poverty, you know what I mean? You got drug addiction, you got drug dealing, you got gang violence, you got all kinds of just negative behaviors that people are practicing to get through life, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And being young and coming up in that environment, and especially if your parents, they don't got it like that. You know what I mean? They didn't graduate from high school. They probably ain't making over $40,000 a year, you know what I mean, to be able to provide for us and
Which
put us
in Cali is just higher cost of living,
absolutely,
right?
dog. Yeah. And it's like, government, cheese, welfare, that's the type shit I grew up off, you know what I mean? And unfortunately, eventually later on in life, which like I said, we'll probably get to too. You know what I mean? I started selling dope. Ditching school. I didn't graduate from high school either. You know what I mean? So that played a negative role in my life as well. But like I said, when you come from that life, and you come from that part of South Dago, which is poverty. Yeah. You know what I mean? You're just a product of your environment. You know what I mean? So you got to do what you got to do to survive. And yeah, man, my story is a unique story. You know what I mean? And it's unique because a lot of guys, they take the route. You got the other route, right? Their parents put them through college. They get their college degree. They put themselves through some type of schooling, some type of education, and eventually, right, they be able to put themselves in a strategic position, right, to be financially stable.
Yeah.
In a higher tax bracket because of college. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I unfortunately, so to speak, right, and like I said, it's unique. I get paid. I created a financial stability for myself from my experience of being incarcerated, my experience with drug addiction, my experience with the dope game, my experience with gang affiliation, gang violence, right? So I created that lane for myself, you know what I mean? Right. And but like I said, it started from at a young age, ditching school, breaking the law, going to juvenile hall, ended up going to jail, finally ended up going to prison. And dude, when I initially came out here in 2007 because, I was really on the run. I came out here on the run from a different state. And I don't like to talk about the other state, dog. You know what I mean? It makes my wife feel uncomfortable for once. She's like, dog, don't ever talk about the state. even though I'm cleared, right? Even though everything from that state is cleared, it's like I said, bro. That life, I created a lot of trauma in my family. I created a lot of trauma in my wife and my kids. So even that, just a traumatic experience. So she gets a little weird when I talk about it. But anyways,
So when you moved here, you were already married?
Yeah, so I've been with the mother of my children, man, for over 20 plus years.
Oh wow!
You know what I mean? We got 5 kids. Shout out to my wife.
You guys big blessed.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. Big and she sat through 7 years, bro. Not only a 7-year incarceration. Yeah. She sat through times 2 of that of me. Getting. I didn't have nothing when she met me. I was a young 18, 19-year-old knucklehead, running around the streets with guns, selling drugs, committing crimes. Yeah. She's always had the good job, the car, the apartment. You know what I mean? She's always had her shit together. You know what I mean?
Which I feel like when you grow up in that lifestyle, something about like dudes like us, we look for that.
Absolutely.
Like we're like, yo, I gotta find somebody with better credit than me. Somebody gotta make something of themselves.
And that's
so
what
I think
it is.
When we're young, subconsciously we know what's good for us.
Absolutely, bro. And I think
up.
what it is like, you know, we were friends, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For a long time. I want to say like 4 or 5 months before it ever turned into something else, you know what I mean? I take her, like, I'll be pulling licks and she be driving. She was a co-driver, you know what I mean? But I wouldn't say she was square, you know what I mean? Because she has a great story herself. And I always talk about, man, you need to tell your story, man, because she's originally from the East Coast.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? And she moved out to Cali when she was 13. And our paths intertwined around the age of, I was 18, 19, and she was 22.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? So we've been together for a minute. And, but yeah, bro, that's how I ended up out here in 2007. I ended up out in Utah on the run. You know what I mean? And initially I came out here, you know what I mean, trying to do good, you know, trying to live that right life because I didn't want to get caught, you know what I mean? And then I ended up getting caught and extradited.
What led you to prison?
To prison?
Or just getting locked up? Yeah, in general.
Or just getting locked up, period. So, you know, like I said, it started from selling drugs. I got a lot of distributing and manufacture charges. I think one of my biggest charges was the charge that I came out here on the run from, which was distribution and manufacture of a Schedule 1 narcotic, which was, you know, I at a young age I was moving a lot of ecstasy pills.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Back when it was like,
that's what I went to prison for.
Yeah, bro. So you
right
know
around that time. That was
bro.
The
you
wave.
know, I was moving them across state, dog. So I was moving yachts across state. I had like a half a yacht that I moved across state. You know what I mean? And it's like, so a lot of people don't know what a yacht is. A yacht is 10,000 pills. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I had about 5,000. You know, moved them over there. I was like 21, and I was out there, and I'll never forget this, bro. You know what I mean? I remember I was out there for like 5 days already. I had already been moving. I moved a lot of it.
Yeah.
And I was sending money back to my peoples back home.
Yeah.
In Dago, and then I was getting ready to get up out of there, but one night we was driving back to the hotel. Me and these two dudes that I went out there with one of my homies. He was a brother, but I went out there to to the state out there, right? And I remember we were going to back to the hotel, and I knew we were being followed, dog. I was like, homie, we're being followed. They were like, nah, man, you tripping. You know, I was all keyed up, dog. I was deep in my addiction, you know what I mean? Coked out.
But still, I think even in that state, you know.
Absolutely.
When you're being watched.
Your senses are heightened, especially on something like that. Yeah. Did people call it paranoia, bro? I wasn't paranoid. So he was like, bro, you're tripping. And I was like, nah, I'm not. I said, let's go grab the rest of what we got, and we're going to go move it and put it somewhere else. And that's what I did. And the very next morning, I was so paranoid, I sat up all night in the hotel room while these fools were sleeping. You know what I mean? I had 2 guns on my lap, AK-47 right there under the bed. You know what I mean? In Louisiana, it was a lot easier. In those states out there, the South, it's a lot easier to get guns. You know what I mean? And so I remember I heard a knock at the door. Doom, 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 doom. So I'm like, man, I get up and I go look out the peephole in the hotel room. You know, the window house next to the door. I look out the door and I see this dude standing out there, this black fool. And I'm like, damn, I don't know this dude. Since I've been here, this is someone I've never seen.
Right.
So I went in. I didn't open the door. I went in. Hey, man, y'all got to get up. There's somebody at the door. I don't know who this is. Go see who this is. They look out the peephole, and then he goes to open the door, and I'm still looking out the peephole. I mean, out the side of the curtain, right? He opens the door, and as I'm looking out the curtain, I see him step aside, and three undercover cops come. Put your hands on, boom. They kick the door in, dog, ran me down, homie. I'm sitting on the. I remember sitting on the. I just sat down on the chair, dog, and I had 2 guns I had one in my lap and one in my hand. And dude, it just was like they were yelling. I heard them yelling and screaming at me, but I didn't hear their voices. Like I couldn't hear it. It was just like. And then when I came to, it was like, put the gun on the bed. Put the gun on the bed. I was like, oh shit. I kind of like blacked out a little bit, dog, because I had been up. You know what I mean? I've been out there
like
5 days.
Dream.
Up,
You're like,
up there up for 5 days, bro, just banging it out. Threw the gun on the lap, bro, on the bed, homie. They ransacked the whole room. They couldn't find what they were looking for, and that was one of the first charges I caught out there. I caught a distribution and manufacture charge out there. Yeah. And it's crazy, man, because I don't say this a lot, bro, but like they're out there, homie. Them cops are racist, bro. They're racist, dog. Like I deal with lightweight racism a lot. I'm sure you do too, man. Right. You know what I mean? But out there, it was weird because it was prevalent, homie.
Blatant
homie,
racism.
The undercover cop, dog. He pulled me aside and said, "Hey, whose pills are those?" He said, "Hey, boy, whose pills are those?" I said, "Those are my pills." He said, "No, they're not." He said, those N-words. He said the hard R. He said, "That's his pills. Say it's his pills." I was like, "What?" I was like, "Bro, those are my pills." And the thing about it is, you know, those pills, I'm gonna tell you a story about those pills real quick, right? So in my mind, I moved all what we had. I moved it.
Yeah.
So when they ransacked the room, I was like, homie, I was laughing. I was like, man, y'all ain't got shit on me. Y'all ain't got shit. Literally saying that, man. You guys ain't got nothing. I got like $3,000 cash, whatever. We got some little doobies in here, a couple guns that are owned legally with the dude that's sitting in here.
Right.
Homie, they ransacked the room and they lifted up my partner's bed. They pulled his bed up and he had a pile of pills under his bed. The homie was stealing pills from me the whole time, dog. Yeah, so he was stashing them under his bed. But, you know, I was involved in so much out there while I was out there, you know, I was like, man, so I pled to that charge because they were trying, in that state, in the South, they got a law called gridlock. So if you got guns, drugs, and money all in the same room, that's 25 years off top. Yeah. Everybody getting a quarter piece. So I was like, look, man. I pulled him aside. I said, "Look, fool, we got to split the charges." I said, "You take the gun, I'll take my pills, and you take whatever else." You know what I mean? So we kind of split the charges, and we ended up, bro, getting past a 25 to life charge, homie. Damn. But yeah, dog. So that was my first major case, bro, that I ever got caught up in. You know what I mean? And like I said, I came out here to Utah on the run, and I initially came out here, you know, trying to do good, dog. I initially came out here, but that didn't last too long. You know, me and my brothers, we've been doing music our whole life. A lot of people know this, a lot of people don't. A lot of the older heads from Utah, they know of we had a group called the Adrenaline Junkies. And later on we dropped the adrenaline and just called ourselves Junkies, the Junkies, like music junkies, you know what I mean? Yeah. And yeah, bro, we killed it out there in the music scene. We were the hardest. We were up there with the hardest ones out here. Yeah, I think 801 Intentions. 801 Intentions was another hard group that was out there making the rounds. That was solid. That was one of the only ones that was making real thug rap, but club rap too, but really living it. You know what I mean? Yeah. 801 Intentions. There was I think H too, Hubert too. That was the homie. So H, you know H, right? You remember H? Yeah. So H has been recording our music since we first came out here. Oh, okay. Yeah. Is that how you met him? Yeah, that's how I met H, through music. You know what I mean? And me and H got our story as well too, man. That's my brother, man. Shout out to H for real. Number love to the homie. But yeah, dog, I ended up coming out here, started doing the music. Then you know what I mean? You start getting caught up in the same crowds. You know, when you in here and you're trying to progress in life and you're not able to fully utilize the resources that you should have. Yeah. Because some of these resources of being successful in life, like I think I heard you talking about it, about you know, with your business loan, that your credit score was a little bit low, so you had to maneuver what you had to do to be able to solidify that capital to start that business. So there's a lot of resources for us that are not given to us. Right. You know what I mean? So when you don't have
we didn't get taught how to take care of our credit. We didn't, you know, our parents were still learning that.
Absolutely.
So we had to learn this shit and get out the mud.
Get it out the mud for real. Yeah. So it's like when you don't have those resources and those avenues to utilize, you know, as a young man, you know what I mean, dog? You're going to go back to what you know.
Yeah, you're going to try to find different ways to make money, supplement income. And in your head, you're like, I'm doing this to take care of my family or to hustle so I can get ahead.
Absolutely.
Whole time you're moving backwards.
Yeah, moving backwards. So that way of thinking, bro, of just trying to manipulate and maneuver your way through life to get ahead. You know, that's all I knew and that's all I did. You know what I mean? And it eventually, you know, got me in the wrong situations and in the wrong crowds. You know what I mean? And yeah, bro, it led to a long history in Utah of another history of incarceration. You know, addiction.
And when did you go into Utah State Prison?
So I went into Utah State Prison in 2012. Oh, okay. Ending of 2000. I actually got arrested in ending of 2012, beginning of 2013, and I was in Salt Lake County. You know what I mean? I had committed my crime. They had me all on the news for aggravated robbery. I could talk about it. I've talked about it before. I was on the news for the aggravated robbery of Kmart in West Valley. But it wasn't even a robbery, dog. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't know this, but in the state of Utah, because, you know, a lot of the polys were, like I'm Polynesian, so I know this, right?
Yeah.
A lot of I'm half Mexican also, so, you know, I got the best of both worlds in that light, right? But it's like a lot of the Polynesians were doing beer runs.
Yeah.
And when they would do those beer runs, they knock the clerks out.
Hit the clerk out, boom, and then next you know, it's aggravated robbery.
Absolutely. So in the state of Utah, they changed that law. If you're in the commission of a crime, of a theft, and you use force to get away, it's aggravated robbery. So boom. So
whether it's a $20 case of beer or a fucking
absolutely, homie. You can steal a candy bar and happen to run out the store and bump the dude over. That's aggravated robbery.
That's a fight of life.
Absolutely,
probably more.
Absolutely. So it all depends, but mine was a 1 to 15.
Oh, okay.
Mine was a 1 to 15 because I pllayed it down. If it was
but originally they charged you with the fight of life, and then
bro.
and then you got to play it down.
When you have them lives thrown at you,
that's scary.
Yeah, everybody, you know, they bought that life until they got that L. You know what I mean?
Yep, and they're by themselves. So and they're like, what?
So yeah, bro. So with my charge, dog, I initially, I like I said, I was deep in my addiction. I had just lost my brother, dog. I lost my brother. Rest in peace, Ajax, really? Man. My brother.
When you was locked up?
Yeah, my brother passed away in 2011. Yeah, man. My brother Ajax, man. Shout out. H knows him. A lot of the older heads out here in Salt Lake and out here in Utah. My little brother, his name rang bells. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was respected by a lot of prominent guys out here that are now still doing music or doing the business.
Right.
You know what I mean? I lost my brother, dog, and it was hard, homie. You know what I mean? I pretty much raised my brother. I raised him. He wasn't just my brother. He was like he was more than my brother, homie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Our souls were intertwined. Centuries and centuries before we ever walked on this earth, you know what I mean? And when he went, bro, I didn't know how to deal with it, dog. So I got deeper into my addiction, deeper into drug dealing, deeper into fucking dwelling amongst the demons in the trap houses, dog, going amongst the demons in the dens, you know what I mean?
In a dark place.
Yeah, bro, so dark, homie. And I didn't care about my life. I didn't care about what would happen to me, and I also didn't care if I took somebody's life. It didn't matter to me. You know what I mean? I was out there in that reality. When they talk about being rock bottom, bro, that you know that or on demon time. Oh, I for sure was on demon time. You know what I mean? So, you know, mind you, I got this all going on. You know, I get into a big old argument with my wife, the one I'm still with now because I've been with her for over 20 years, right? And you know, she didn't want me to leave because she knew I was either gonna go get killed or I was gonna kill somebody because I was on that time. And you know, I grabbed my gun. I said, "Man, I'm out of here." Put my gun in my holster. Took off, bro. And I remember it was like 2011, dog. No, 2012, and it was around November, bro. It was like almost a year after my brother passed away, dog. And I'll never forget this. I was walking down Redwood Road, going towards. You familiar with West Valley and Taylor Valley? So I was walking down Redwood Road, going towards that old Kmart right there off of 41st.
Right where all those apartments are.
Dog.
Right
so I passed Little Caesars right there by 7-Eleven, you know what I mean, on the corner, and I'm like, damn, man. Now I'm not pissed no more. I don't walk like 3-4 miles in the blizzarding snow. Now I'm like, damn, I want my wife to come pick me up. So I'm like, damn, I don't got my phone. She took my phone. She took my wallet. So I went into the store. I had this, bro. I've been up for like days, homie. Yeah. I had this harebrained idea. I said, man, I'm gonna go in here and steal a phone, and then I'm gonna turn it on, and call my wife to come pick me up. Yeah. Mind you, I got my 45 on me in the holster. I go into the store.
But you don't think about that when you're going through the emotions,
dog,
man.
You don't. That was the last thing
in hindsight, you're
mind.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and then in hindsight, it's like, bro, you're gonna steal a phone, and then what are you gonna do with it? You can't turn it on until you pay for it, right? So that's a little like, bro, that's embarrassing as hell.
It just shows your mindset, though.
Absolutely,
when you're on drugs.
Absolutely,
when you're on drugs, it makes perfect sense.
And sleep deprivation, bro.
Right. Oh yeah, that's
a
whole
lot
different.
of times. You know, people talk about drugs being a thing. Drugs are a thing. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But it's when you're being deprived of sleep. When you're not sleeping, dog, your brain's is not functioning the right way. You're not thinking the straight way. Your cognitive behavior is not functioning how it should be if you're well rested. So I ended up going into the store. I go and I steal the phone. And like I'm thinking I'm slick, bro. I'm probably like obvious as shit. Probably walking in there, they already know I'm looking like a straight zombie. You know what I mean, dog?
Everybody was like,
Yeah,
loss prevention
bro.
was like, keep an eye on him.
So I get the phone, I turn around and I'm starting to walk out. I see this dude. He passes the aisle, and I think, damn, that fool look funny. Anyways, now I'm making my way to the door. I make my way to the door, and that same dude is sitting at the front of the store. And he gets up, and I'm like, fuck, I already know what time it is. He stops me. He's like, hey, bro, I saw you take that phone. I saw what you did, man. You got to come with me. I was like, bro, man, I wasn't even sweating. I was like, hey, look, sir, do me a favor, man. Please don't call the cops. I'm just going through some things right now.
Yeah.
Here, I pulled the phone out. I said, here, man, take the phone. I apologize, man. I just don't call the cops. He was like, nah, we won't call the cops. We'll just get your information, and we'll write a citation, and you can't ever come back here. I was like, all right, cool. He takes me up into the office. Like, we're in an office like this, bro.
Yeah.
He's sitting across. He's like, what's your name? And, homie, like I said, dog, I ain't never thought of lying to the motherfucker. He asked me what my name was. I gave him my real name. I was like, woo-wop, woo-wop. And then he was like, do you have an ID? And I was like, nah, bro, I don't have an ID. And he's like, well, if you don't have an ID, I'm going to have to search you. I was like, nah, bro, you're not going to search me. And he stepped towards me, and I pulled it out. I stood up.
Damn.
I said, he got on the ground, bro. He got on the ground, and I said, hey, bro, don't get up. I didn't come here to rob you or kill you. I came in here to commit a theft, and that was it. But I said, don't get up. And I turned around. And right when I turned around and walked out the office, there was an office next to me, dog. And there was these two people that looked like they were having a conversation, but in the mid-conversation, they caught on what was going on in there, and they stopped, and they were just looking at each other like. And when I passed by, they looked at me, and I said, hello. And they were like, wait, bro. Yeah, dog. And I started making my way down to the Kmart floor. Yeah. And I was like, dude, if these people see me running through the Kmart, they're gonna try to attack me, try to stop me, thinking I'm doing something. So I started running through the Kmart saying, where's my son? Where's my son? And dude, the clerks were like looking around. You guys see a little boy? Yeah. I was like, well, look for my son. And boom, I hit the gate. I hit the door, and I was gone. So
that guy just left without his son.
Yeah, dog. 2 months later, bro, I'm in San Diego. I'm like over there trying to do good too now. Now I'm trying to do good. I had dipped
You're like,
out.
cool, I dodged a bullet.
Yeah, bro, I dipped out, went back home.
Let them forget about me.
Dog, they ran up on me out there, dog.
Damn.
So that's what sent me to prison. And
so they extradited you from out
there. Yeah, they
there,
extradited me.
That's a pretty big deal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Even the extradition, dog. The extradition was a crazy ass story. I've never told the extradition story either, dog.
Yeah.
So, dude, I was waiting in San Diego County Jail, homie, and you know who came and got me, bro? Unified Police.
Oh, really?
Yeah, dog. So when I saw the Unified Police, I was like, hold on. I said, you guys Unified Police? He was like, yeah. I said, how the hell you guys got? I said, I've used it because I've been extradited before.
Right.
It's by
usually
state. And it's marshals. Yeah. And I said, man, how the hell you guys got jurisdiction to come out here and get me? You guys ain't marshals? Because I didn't really believe them. I was like, what the hell? And they were like, no, we got the court order. We got everything. We're here to get you.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, cool, man. And a lot of people, so when you catch Fed charges and you're getting extradited from state to state, and the Feds, did you do Fed time?
No.
Yeah, I haven't done Fed time either, but I've always known that when they call it Con Air, you know what I mean? That you're flying on a federally
Con Air.
Yeah, in a jail suit and everything. But with state, bro, you're on a regular flight, dog. With regular
eating cookies
and
homie, coffee.
With regular people,
coffee.
dog.
Yeah.
So look, he puts the cuffs on me. Unified. I'm talking to two big old corn-fed white boys, dog. And they're like, hey, bro.
They're like, yeah, he's dangerous. Listen.
Yeah, they're like, look, don't run. He said, if you try to run, we're going to shoot you. I said, man, I ain't trying to run. Who am I going to run with some handcuffs on, dog? So he's like, I got a sweater on, homie, so he covers my cuffs, and he's like, hold the cuffs. He said, we don't need nobody to know that you're an inmate.
Right.
That we're transferring you. He said,
let's trying to keep it low profile.
Let's keep it low profile. We'll sit in the back. All right, cool. So he's like walking me through the airport. And as I'm walking through the airport, I see one of my partners spots me. He's working at the airport. He's like, hey, Smaqs, what's up? And he comes running to me, dog. And the cops, they're like, hey, back up. And he's like, damn. He's like, what the hell? He's like, oh, you good? I was like, yeah, I'm straight, bro. And it was crazy, dude, because I'm walking through the airport and everybody's looking at me because I'm dressed like some Doug rapper.
Yeah.
And I got these two.
Those your clothes that you was wearing when you got booked?
Yeah, dog. So they look like, it looks like some rapper dude, dog. Being
it's my security.
With security,
it's my entourage, homie.
Yeah, dog. So dude, we fly out here, homie, and we're supposed to initially land in Salt Lake Airport.
Yeah.
And it blizzards, bro. And while we're out there, so they had to transfer the flight instead of stopping in. They stopped in Provo.
Oh,
you know,
okay.
the airport out in Provo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we landed in Provo, and I remember, dude, we were on one of those little jets, bro. And there was like a good 100 people on it, maybe two.
Yeah.
Like I want to say like 60, 70 people.
Right.
And they had us sitting on the tarmac, dog, for like 30 minutes because they weren't letting us out. And I'm sitting in the middle, dog. I'm sitting in the middle of these two fools, and they're like talking right to each other in front of me. They're like, hey, bro, we can't be in here with them. They're like, we're sitting here too long. We gotta. They're like, all right, well, let's make a call and get approval to get off the plane. So they call. I hear them. He's like, there, yeah, sir, we'll get off. I guess they had to coordinate with somebody to come pick us up from that airport. So. Mind you, all these people in the airplane, bro, are pissed that they've been sitting in this airplane for 30, 45 minutes. They've been told 10 times that nobody can leave the plane. So then the one of the big white boys goes up to the front of the plane.
Yeah.
And then you hear the pilot come over. Hey, just a little announcement. If you guys could just clear the aisle, we got the gentleman in the far back. Make room for them. We're gonna let them off the plane. So, dog, everybody's like
pissed,
pissed, bro. And then they're like, and not only that, they're probably already thinking like, who is this, bro? You know what I mean? So I get up, dog, and I'm standing up, and the guy gets behind me, homie, and we start cutting our way through the aisle, and we had to stop, and everybody looks at me, dog. And I drop my change, bro. Like, click, 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 click. Everybody's like,
you're like, this is what it is, guys.
This is what it is. Ain't no rapper, dog. But yeah, they extradited me out here, bro. And that was the second time I've actually been on a commercial on a regular flight, dog.
Oh, really?
Being extradited, yeah. Homie. And yeah, bro. That was what I ended up going to prison for. They brought me out here to the Utah State Prison. I was in county jail for like 4 months. I didn't even fight my charge. You know what I mean? I probably could have. But I didn't fight it because...
Just fought it down to a 1 to 15, and you're like, fuck it, let's run it.
that's what I did. I just was like, let's take off the aggravated for running. I'll take that. You know what I mean? So they dropped it down to a 1 to 15, and 305s ran back to back. So that either way, that's still...
I feel like sometimes when you're in that lifestyle, you subconsciously know that getting locked up might be good for you.
Absolutely.
Like, bro. I've been fucking up. I've been wilding out. I don't got this. I need to fucking... go get put in timeout type shit.
Homie. I was, like I said, dog, even in Dago, homie, I was in such a dark place, bro. I just was a burden to my wife.
Yeah.
I was a burden to my kids, dog. You know, I was an abusive person to my wife. You know, she was going through a lot, dog. And when they arrested me, bro, man, it was just like that. It was just a big sigh of relief, and I'm just like, fuck. All right, cool.
Everybody's gonna sleep better.
Yeah, everybody's gonna be good.
Because they know you're safe. They know you ain't on the streets. They know you ain't.
Straight. Wife came and visited me in San Diego County Jail, you know, and I was like, damn, man, you guys just stay out here. You don't got to, they're going to come extradite me, you know what I mean? So they're going to come get me for sure, especially on this charge. And she was like, nah, homie, we're going to follow you up there. Once you go up there, once they extradite you, we'll be right behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, so she came out. I came out here, Salt Lake County. Like I said, I didn't fight my charge. You know, I probably could have, but I'm not the type to get up on this on the stand and try to lie about some shit.
Right.
But my thing was I even told my lawyer, and actually it was a public defender.
Yeah.
And we already know with public defenders, bro, they ain't helping you, dog.
They're quick to.
Yeah, homie.
Because I mean, most of the time.
Because I told him, look, I tried to say, I told him that the gun was fake. And he was like, well, he came back at me. He took a little break, a little recess, came back at me with a whole stack of why it's called a facsimile in the state of Utah, so it really doesn't matter if it's fake.
Like, damn, homie, am I fighting
like,
you
damn,
too?
Yeah, dog. Like, homie, what?
Yeah.
Bro. So, yeah,
and
dog.
especially in that, when you're in that mentality, you're uneducated, you don't know shit about the system.
Nah.
You just feel like everybody's against you. Like, you don't, even if they're there to help you, I mean.
Yeah. And I'm a
and sometimes motherfuckers just do some dumb shit and you're hit.
Absolutely.
Ain't nobody can save you.
Nah.
Like you done made your own bed.
And I watched motherfuckers take it straight to the box, dog. I'm talking take it to the box. I'm talking about, you know what I mean, hand on the Bible, bro. Straight and lose. And get stretched.
That happened to my cousin. Bit. He could have got 7 years, took it to the box, got 2 15-year sentences.
Man,
thankfully, the judge was like, you know what? you're young. I feel like I'm gonna give you a second chance. I'm gonna run it concurrent.
Is he still in there right now?
Yeah. He's I think 11, 12 years in. He should be getting out soon. That motherfucker keep losing his good time.
Yeah, that sucks, bro.
So
I may know of him. It sounds familiar for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, dog, man, that was my, you know what I mean. Ended up in prison, bro. And by that time, dog, I've been through juvenile hall. I've been through jail. I've been through every negative situation you could think of. By that time going to prison, it was different, dog.
What was the worst part about prison?
I think the worst part about prison was trying to raise my kids through the visiting room, dog. Right. You know what I mean? It was rough, homie. Yeah. I could sustain a relationship with my wife. She was ride or die, dog.
Yeah.
But I also can't tell her to put her life on hold. You know what I mean? But she did what she needed to do to take care of my kids and be there for me as much as she can. I never asked her for money. You know what I mean?
How old were your kids?
My wife was 2 months pregnant, and I had a 6-month-old.
Damn.
And my son, my son that just turned 18, he was like 4 or 5 years old, and then I had my daughter was 15, and my oldest son was like 12, 13.
Damn.
So when
those
I got
are tough years.
Yeah, dog. And
teenage years, yeah.
Bro.
I mean, I struggle out here.
Yeah, dog.
I can't imagine being locked up.
So that was the hardest thing, bro. Was trying to cultivate and sustain that relationship with my kids and feel, bro, like they have to come see me in the prison visit. They have to deal with being searched. They have to deal with their mom being searched.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? That was probably the hardest thing.
I'm in trouble, but I'm trying to tell you to stay out of trouble,
bro.
But I'm acting. Yeah.
Yeah, and typically, bro, look, and I would never tell my kids, I didn't do that in prison. Like, hey, stay out of trouble. You got to do good. You got to do this. I wasn't, you know what I mean? My thing was like, I'm your dad and I love you. We never really talked about why I was in there. We never really got into details about anything like that. The fact of the matter is, when the question did come up, which it hardly did because my kids were young, and my 2 oldest kids, they would visit me, but not as often as my youngest kids. You know what I mean? They were a little bit older, so I didn't expect them to stop hang. They're at that detrimental time where they want to hang out with friends. Yeah. They don't want to go to the prison, dog. But I talked to them a lot on the phone. But I wasn't like, hey, you guys got to do good, trying to parent them and like that. That's the last thing I did. I let my wife do that. But I would try to build a connection with them and let them know who this man was. Even though because even when I was out, bro, I wasn't really fully there as far as energy-wise. Giving them a whole 100% like father energy.
Yeah, no, when you're in the
you're in the game, you're fucking doing all kinds of other shit. That's the last thing that's on your mind is how what you're doing is gonna affect your kids. You know what I mean? So that was the last thing
I always talk about. When I was locked up, my kids were 2 and 3. Absolutely. Previous to that, I wasn't a good dad. I would try to be present as much as possible, but my heart, my mind, everything I wanted was in the streets.
Absolutely.
I wasn't like, you know what, I need to go home and be a dad, So I feel like that definitely plays a part in my fathering right now because I'm like, man, I fucked up.
Yeah, bro.
Thank God it ain't too late. It ain't never too late,
Never.
But it's definitely a lesson that I had to learn, and I'm like, damn, man. In my head, I probably was thinking, oh, I'm a good guy. I'm there. I'm here. I went and got him this. I got him a bag of clothes from the boosters. Like, shit, I'm a good dad.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? But it's obviously way more than that now that we're,
Absolutely,
now that the smoke settled.
Absolutely, man. And I totally agree with that, bro. It's like I felt the same way, even though I was like, but now that in hindsight, dog, looking back, bro, I was expanding the majority of my energy to everyone else and everything else, and coming home and giving crumbs to my kids.
Yeah, the bare minimum.
As far as energy, bro, giving them crumbs of who I am and who's gonna help them flourish to become better kids, better adults, and eventually good, successful adults in life. You know what I mean? So, man, I totally agree with that for sure, my boy.
So was there a specific moment in prison that you knew you had to change, or like where did your change start?
So I think it started, bro, once I was in county jail. And the reason why I say that is because, a lot of times, when you come from a life of addiction and a life of incarceration, they go hand in hand.
Right.
You know what I mean? I wouldn't be suffering. I wouldn't be experiencing incarceration if I wasn't addicted to drugs, or if I wasn't addicted to that lifestyle in any way, shape, or form. You know what I mean? So once I was pulled out of those situations, right? Pulled out of that environment and access to that access to that drug, which in county jail it's a lot harder to come across. You rarely come across it in county jail. In prison it's prevalent for sure. But you know, I had a good 4 months of sitting in county jail.
Sober.
Sober.
Just
and
you and your thoughts.
I've never went 4 months without you know, some type of substance, bro, to alter, to help me cope with whatever I'm dealing with. So being that I was away from that for 4 months, you know, the funny thing about your mind, bro, the way it works, it starts firing in all cylinders, right? Because you don't have that vice. I like to talk, you know, like I said, I'm in the industry of helping people. I'm the director of health and nutrition, the director of wellness and reentry for guys who are suffering from addiction. And I always talk about, you know, a lot of us that are incarcerated, when we stopped maturing emotionally was when we started doing drugs.
Right.
Because that drug gets on you and stunts your emotional growth. You don't grow.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
So when it's a Band-Aid. You don't have to deal with it.
Absolutely, bro.
You're not facing reality. You're just like, you know what? Let's go ahead and do this, and I'm gonna keep it pushing. I'm gonna keep thinking the way I'm thinking. Yep. I'm gonna keep rocking that way.
And I get it, right? Because at the time, right, I started doing hard drugs at a young age, right? And not hard drugs, but I started smoking weed like at 12, 13, and it gradually graduated to other drugs later on in life, right? But, you know, you get that drug in you, homie, you get around that age, you know what I mean? People start looking at you with respect. Women, the young girls start thinking you're cool and start liking you. So you feel
it's an easy trap.
Yeah, you feel that, right? So it's natural for a human being to gravitate towards it, to hold on to it, and suck the life out of it for as long as you can.
Yeah, it's the easier thing to do.
Yeah, so a lot of times you got men who are emotionally mature as a 14 and 15-year-old, you know what I mean? And the thing about what did it for me was when that drug was took away, was when I was sober. I started thinking different. My priorities changed. What I felt, where I should be in my life, now I'm thinking about that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I actually, dude, in county jail, dog, in 4 months, I wrote a book.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. I started typing it out. It's like 168 pages right now. It's like 16 chapters, and it's a book. It's a street fiction book. It's called My Brothers and I. But I wrote this book, dog, and man, I started typing it out. But that's where my mind was at, bro. There was so much hurt and so much trauma that I was experiencing from being in addiction and then losing my brother.
So you found an outlet.
Yeah, dog. So I was just
And
then once I got to prison, right? I'm 4 or 5 months clean, 4 or 5 months clean. So I mean, I'm obviously not firing totally on all cylinders, right?
Yeah.
I'm not.
But
you're
there.
You're good, solid foundation, bro. Who I am and who I'm supposed to be is coming back now, right? So I remember sitting in prison. And you know, when you go to Utah, the old Utah State Prison, they take you to what's called the library. Yeah, you in there and you in a 5.
Bro, that shit look like prison.
Yeah, dog.
Like the worst. If you visualize what prison should look like, man, you go to the library, you go to you in a 5, boy.
I'm talking American Me. If you guys ever watched that movie American Me, and you see the old prison bars, that's what the prison was like.
I remember seeing writing on the walls. I'm like,
homie,
people are mentally
dog,
ill
in the state of Utah, bro. So it's like, and y'all tap into my socials and go check the videos out because I was
you did some a lot of videos over there. Yeah,
so I got a lot of
videos
of the cells that I actually sat in, bro. So I think what did it for me, bro, was staying away from the drugs, right? And then I came across a fork in the road, which was right when I got to prison. And I remember I was sitting in the library with this fool. I forgot his name, dog, but he was I think he was from Ogden. I think he was from the Q. And we're sitting in the library, dog, and we've been in there for like 5-6 hours, homie.
Yeah.
5-6 hours. And then out of nowhere, he's like, I'm gonna go use the bathroom. So he go use the bathroom. Like, hey, guard, let me go use the bathroom. Guard lets me use the bathroom. He comes back, and when the guard leaves, he pulls out a sack. Cause you know he obviously went and grabbed it out the compartment, dog. He's like, hey, fool, let's get high. You want to get high, dog? When I looked at that, homie, my whole life flashed before my eyes, dog. And I was like, I almost was like, yeah, bro. I almost was like, fuck yeah. But being that I felt that angst, like, oh yeah, let's get high. Like I felt that, it scared me, homie. Yeah. And I was like, nah, I'm good, dog. I'm good, homie. I'm good. And kind of just fell back, bro. And then they moved us to our cell, dog. And ever since when I was sitting in that cell, I was just all night to myself thinking, damn, that was a scary feeling.
That down.
That was a scary feeling, bro. And that was the beginning of my prison growth. You know what I mean? That was the beginning of me saying no. that wasn't the last time I was gonna be confronted with a situation like that.
People that don't know, there's drugs in prison. Like,
absolutely.
I watched dudes that paroled on Tuesday and they couldn't stop getting high, shooting up until the day they got released. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, they're getting out to get high. Like, why would they not?
Absolutely.
Like, there's some people that go into prison with no habits and get out with habits, and I'm like, bro. Damn, homie, like,
homie,
for real.
It's a cesspool, bro.
But part of that is when you don't want to deal with your emotions.
Absolutely.
When you don't want to face the man in the mirror. You look for substance. You look for a reason.
You find those outlets, bro, to try to cope with whatever negative emotions that you're feeling.
Yeah.
And the thing about it, bro, we're built to feel these negative emotions. You know what I mean? These negative emotions, you got to put your nose to the grinder, push through it, because when you come across on the other side of those negative emotions, you're gonna be stronger. You're gonna be faster. You're gonna be smarter. You're gonna be more equipped and more prepared to deal with whatever life throws at you. You know what I mean? And dude, so that's what did it for me, bro. That saying no, but also, you know, I like, I'm from that life, dog. We're from that life. Parents, gang members, you know what I mean? We come from poverty, homie. Get it out the mud, you know what I mean? We come from that. So that's what we, you know, I knew. I'm like, gang banging, I've been around it my whole life. Drug dealing, I've been around it my whole life. Fighting without talking about our shit, we fighting or shooting.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I feel like even like as a kid, like I remember getting in trouble and just getting hit without an explanation of why, you know. So I think as a kid, we're damn near wired, you know, and our parents did their best. They did what they knew, what they was taught. So it's like as a kid, you know, that shit happens, man. And you don't really know why, you know. So then when it comes to getting in that lifestyle and you just go,
yeah, dog.
You're like, fuck asking questions, homie. I ain't asking questions. We, you know.
And see, coming from that life, right, when I got to prison, you know, and seeing real addiction, seeing real old numbers, guys who've been in and out of prison their whole life, and seeing the recidivism rate, seeing the real addiction, seeing guys go out, come back in, go out, come back in. The homies like go out, come back in, and being around that, I knew prison didn't just show me what I wanted to be. It showed me what I wasn't.
Yeah.
It showed me what I wasn't. So I knew I wasn't that. I knew I wasn't that, and I knew I didn't want to be that. You know what I mean? So I had to do the necessary steps needed, dog, to try to strategically put myself in a better position. Like I said, dog, I was away from drugs. So when you're away from drugs, as a man, as a real man who's thinking about his wife, thinking about his kids with no drugs in his system, what is he thinking about? He's thinking about ways to better himself, to better provide and better protect his wife and kids. So that's what it did to me. And now I'm thinking about, okay, I'm about to be let out of prison one of these days. I didn't know when I was going to go home.
Yeah, you don't.
I had
for those who are listening,
bro,
how does it go? Dog. You get locked up, you go to prison for a fight of life. What happens?
So in the state of Utah, the state of Utah is one of 3 states only that still practice indeterminate sentencing. So indeterminate sentencing is they'll give you you can have a 1 to 50. And you'll never know. You don't know how long you're gonna do. You don't know if it's 1. You don't know if it's 50. It could be either in between. And Utah, like I said, is one of 3-4 states that still practices that. Any other state, you go to the Board of Pardons. They're gonna give you your date, and you're gonna do 85% of that. You get good time, you're gonna chop that down, right? But in the state of Utah, no. You gotta
do 3 years before you see the board to even know how long you're gonna get. On top of that,
my boy. Dog, it's crazy, homie.
How long did it take for you to see the board?
Look, dog, I was on a 1 to 15. So on a 1 to 15, it takes you 3 months to go see the board.
Okay.
So, and I was in Max, bro, for 4 months, for the first 4 months. So I was back there when I went to the board. So I wasn't able to like come at them with like, hey, I've been doing this, I've been doing that. Yeah. I'm like in Max.
You in a 2 or?
Yeah, you in a 2.
Okay.
And I'm sitting back there, dog, and I go to the board the first time. And I'm like, I had just got a section job. So I'm thinking, damn, that's what I thought.
I'm doing good. I got a job.
I'm like serving trays, dog.
My mental's right.
Yeah, I'm reading these books. I read like 300 books. I've been clean.
Yeah.
You know
I'm learning my lesson.
Oh, yeah, they're going to let me home. Hey, Smaqs, they finna railroad you. No, what? No, they not. I'm going home,
come on, dog, don't say that.
I'm trying to be positive, dog. I go to the board. And right when I come up and I'm about to start saying, they said, Ricky, they said, Zazweta, don't say nothing. They said, you just got here. You're still, we already decided what we're going to do. They said, come back in 5 years and we'll talk about it.
You're like.
Yeah, he didn't say you got 5 years.
He said,
until
come back
released.
in 5
He said,
years.
come back in 5 years, and then we'll talk about
Out
it.
the gate,
Easy.
5-year rehearing.
Easy.
Out the
homie.
gate,
5-year
5-year rehearing. Nasty.
All I heard was my wife in the background. Did he say 5? And by this time, right, because she was 2 months pregnant when I got hit, she was like almost about to give birth, dog. When she gave
All
birth,
kinds of emotions.
homie, she gave birth. I was in maximum security, dog. But she gave birth to my son July 3rd. My son, I remember, dog, because every time my son would come visit me, I was like, hey, son, I'm going to shoot fireworks for your birthday. Make sure you look outside. July 4th, you know what I mean? He believed that.
Yeah, hell yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? And
you see him?
yeah, dog. That was for you. I told you I got it done. But anyways, yeah, I heard my wife was like, man, did he say 5 years? She was crying, bro. And I turned around. I said, baby, just come visit me. Just come, we'll talk. Right. She came and talked. I remember sitting across, dog. She was crying. I was like, baby, I love you, man. I said, look, I ain't gonna 5 years, dog. You don't gotta wait for me. I would not. You know what I mean? Just take care of the kids and look out for them. That's what I said. I said, I'll do what I can from here to help you. So her exact words was like, she was like, nigga, you stupid. She was like, nigga, you stupid. So she waited. She so that right there told me too, bro. That right there showed me.
Yeah.
You know, I said, man, she sees something in me. She's willing to wait 7 years. I got to come out different. Yeah. I got to make sure I leave this place better than when I came in here. You know what I mean? And 7 years later, I walked out with a high school diploma. I walked out with a college degree. I walked out with 2 years. I did 2 years of substance abuse treatment. I did 2 years of one-on-one therapy, 2 years of group therapy. You know, so I was really able to learn myself, but not only just from my perspective, right? Because by the time I went to the substance abuse treatment, I was already 5 years clean. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because you can't go to Conquest unless you got a date.
Right.
And by that time, they were like, oh, you're about ready to get a date. So they pulled me. And I was like, hell yeah. Yeah, bro. So, you know, I did what I had to do, bro. And my wife and my kids, they were the focal point of that energy. You know what I mean? Yeah. And now my wife and my kids are reaping the benefits of that. They'll reap the benefits of those 7 years for their lifetime. Right. My wife, my kids. Right. They will reap the benefits.
Because I've noticed you're very family oriented. You know.
Absolutely, dog.
I feel like. So how do you feel like your relationships changed with them? Like, are you know?
Man, you know, my younger kids, you know, they were young, and I cultivated that relationship with them really, really well. You know, my 18-year-old son, you know, we were really close too, and my oldest son and my oldest daughter. You know, they were a little bit older, so they kind of already they were already aware of the life that we were living, right? They didn't see it firsthand, but their uncles are gangsters, their dads are gangsters.
Kids hear things as smooth as we try to be. You know, they might be in the other room like, what they saying, and we over here just talking our shit. You know,
like I told, like my son, right? Because my little brother. Shout out to my little brother, Lil Oos, man. I love you, bro. He got out the feds, but my son wanted to go visit him, and I was like, damn. I was like,
in the feds?
My oldest son wanted to go visit him, and I was like, hey, I was like, nah, son, I think, let's just wait till he gets out so you can see him, because I don't want you to go be around those unsavory characters. Right. And my son replied, he was like, come on, Dad, come on, man, I grew up around unsavory characters, Dad. You know what I mean? So so he kind of already knew, but yeah, bro. I think. What was the question again? My bad, bro.
Just how did that affect you being a father
relationship,
and
with
you
my
know,
kids.
Like where you at right now?
Yeah, bro.
You know? So how's your relationship?
Like with my son, you know, I feel like my son, like I said, my older kids, they kind of already were. I don't want to say numb to it, but they kind of already hip to it. Yeah. But my son that was 5 years old when I went in, he was really close to me, dog. He was like close to my hip, bro. Yeah. And to be gone for those years, he's 5 years old when I go in, and he's 12 when I get out. Damn. Those are detrimental years in a young boy's life, to not have a father in his life. And you know, my wife did the best he can, but sometimes I feel like, you know, when don't get me wrong, our relationship is great. My son loves me, he respects me, we love each other, and we kind of just back at it, all my kids. Right. But I feel like sometimes, man, that time affected them in some way. You know what I mean? Even though we're still connected, there's just still an energy of, man, there was some detrimental times. Yeah. You know, they're really, really close with their mother, obviously, which should be. Yeah. You know what I mean? But it's not hard to as a father that a real father is going to constantly dissect himself, no matter how good he's doing.
Right.
No matter if he's dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's. A real father is always going to feel like he's not doing enough.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
So that
you're always trying to push the line. You're always trying to get better.
Bro. So I got that going on in my head. So you know what I mean. But our relationship's great. You know, now that they're being able to benefit from, a man that's vibrating at a high frequency. I'm vice free. I'm stay active, stay working out, showing my kids to stay active and try to build your body, build your mind and your heart. You know what I mean?
And I'm sure they see all the things you do.
Absolutely,
bro. One of the things that me and you did was we went and spoke at the prison. You know what?
Love that.
What made you want to do that, man? What kind of gave you that? How'd you get in there?
Man, homie, it's crazy, bro, because I was the first one in the state of Utah that ever went back into the prison, bro, to be able to go as a convicted felon. In the state of Utah, you got to be off parole at least for 10 years. And because I was one of the first that went in, I actually went up to the legislation up to the Capitol Hill to speak on it. Right, and they dropped the legislation passed a bill that made it from 10 years to 5 years.
Oh wow!
Which is still a lot, but I mean I think that's good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 5 years.
It's a step in the right direction. But dude, I wasn't even off parole for 2 years, dog.
Yeah.
I had went to Lynn and them. Lynn had a support group for inmates.
Shout out Lynn.
Shout out to the High Barbershop. Shout out to Louis Hamilton and them boys over there, man. They killing it. They doing big things in the community.
Hell yeah.
And so dude, he held a group at his shop
right
called
there in Harriman.
MBRHD, New Beginnings Rendering Hopeful Decisions, right? And I remember he said, hey man, we're gonna have the head of the Utah Department of Correction. At the time it was Brian Redd. Brian Redd just took a new position at the chief of police for Salt Lake County.
Oh, okay.
For Salt Lake PD. And but at the time he was the top dog of the Utah Department of Corrections. And he was there at the meeting because he wanted to get a feel for the community, bro.
Like
yeah,
actual
what's
community members,
not what's not working.
Right.
Which, bro, is a big change from here. Let's just lock them up and throw away the key and let them out.
Right. Having their meetings with their people. You're not really talking because I think a lot of the times, the prison system didn't really work on a lot of rehabilitation.
No,
it was more just, you're all getting reprimanded. Like which I've noticed there's been big steps when it comes to prisoner, reform.
Absolutely.
And which is a beautiful thing.
And it all started with Brian Redd, Glenn Mills, man. Shout out to Glenn Mills too, man. He also took a new position over there with Brian Redd. But these are my good friends now, dog. Like we interact. You know what I mean? We keep tabs on each other. We help each other out as much. He obviously helps me a lot in my ventures as far as community activism with the prison.
Getting you in the doors.
Yeah,
and
dog.
Places
so, dude, I met him at the meeting, and I got his email. Brian Redd, and I told him, I said, hey, look, man, I would love to possibly connect with you guys in some way and be able to, I want to sit down and talk. So like a week later, I shot him an email, and the email was like 911, we need to speak, or emergency or something like that. I knew he was getting thousands and thousands of emails.
So you wanted to stand out.
This one would stand out, and I got a response. I sent him what I wanted to do, and I sent him that prison video. The prison video, the one I did in the old prison.
That one went crazy.
Yeah,
on social media,
almost a million
numbers?
views. Yeah, almost a million views. So I went in there and I sent him the video, and he responded. He said, "Man, I showed this video to my daughters. They were all crying.
Oh hell
yeah!" And he said, "Man, I watched this with my family." He said, oh, "You come up to the administration building, and I want to entertain your conversation. Let's talk about it." So, bro, dude, I've been off parole for like a year and a half. So I called my parole officer. But we're friends too, my parole officer, dog. Yeah, I was like, hey, I think it'd be a good idea, bro, if you come up there with me. And he was like, up where? I said, up there administration building to go talk with Brian Redd and Glenn. He said, dude, you got a meeting with them? He said, I said, yeah. He said, man, I can't even get them to answer a call.
He's like, I'll be right there.
So he pulled up because I wanted to show them that it's to bridge that gap between an inmate that's trying to do better and a parole officer. To see what that looks like. Right. Because there's a lot of moving parts in becoming successful after incarceration, and having the right parole officer is important. Right. That's a whole nother thing we can go into.
And obviously, building that relationship with the parole officer as well.
Absolutely.
Because most of the time, motherfuckers is lying, trying to fucking sneak. I personally watch my good friends sit there and try to tell me what they're going to tell their PO. I'm like, man, And you wonder why you keep going back, homie.
Bro.
Like, these dudes ain't dumb.
No, they're not playing.
We're
dog.
not dumb.
They're not playing.
And they have your life in their hands, in a sense, you know?
So, dude, he ended up answering the email, and then he's like, yeah, come out here and we'll talk. So, bro, I remember going and we're in the boardroom, bro. You ever seen that video with Bobby Shmurda getting his record deal?
Yeah.
Dog. So, dude, you know how I do my speeches?
Yeah.
I went and I did the speech, did the whole
yeah,
rundown.
you just was like, this is where I'm at.
And dude, Maria Sherry, Rebecca Brown, these are two. They're still heads of the department right now.
Yeah.
Bro, they were crying, dog. They were crying, dude. And Brian and Glenn Mills was just like this. He was just rubbing his chin, dog, and he said, he leaned over. He said, "Ricky, what do you want to do?" I said, "Man, what I just did for you guys, I want to get in front of the inmates and do that for them.
Do the same thing.
Do the same thing." I said, "This message of growth, this message of becoming a better man while you're incarcerated, in order to change the paradigm of gang violence, of drug addiction." I said, you guys are not going to be able to tell them a damn thing.
They ain't listening to you guys.
Nah.
Right.
And I said, look, Glenn, Brian, I know I ain't been off parole for 5 years, but I know that's a thing. They said, nah. They said, we going to get you in there.
I don't even trip.
Bro, I was in there, bro. And ever since then, ever since my first event in there, I've been taking men who have suffered from addiction, men who have suffered from incarceration like yourself. I take these men in there, bro, to show the current inmates, like, look, homie, we look like you, we walk like you,
I was
we talk
just
like
in here with you.
Absolutely in here with you. I got family in here right now. This is what it looks like to get out of prison, to vibrate at a high frequency, to be the provider, to be the protector, to be that emotional support to your loved ones, to your family. This is what it looks like. Ain't nothing about me changed, homie. I still am the person that I am. The only difference is I'm not being shackled down by addiction and incarceration, because 95% of all of our homies in there are suffering from addiction to either a specific drug or the life, dog.
Lifestyle, yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's one thing I learned, because I was in the Hope program in Gunnison. And I remember being thrown in there, and I went to prison for distribution. So part of me, like, when I got in there, like, you know, I was young, 20, 21 years old, and I was kind of like, what the fuck am I in here for? Like, I'm not on drugs. You know, I almost damn near was like, oh, I'm better. And one of them, I don't know who it was, man, but, you know, one of the people in the program was like, no, you're addicted to something. You're addicted to the lifestyle. You're addicted to, you know, and I'm sitting here like, hard-headed at first, but then I really sat there and thought about it, and I'm like, damn, like, I am addicted to the lifestyle. I am addicted. You know, and it's crazy, the addiction. You know, like, you don't realize it, especially, I mean, obviously it's easy to put a label on it when you're on drugs or you do this or that, which now that I look back, like, damn, I was drinking like a motherfucker. I was doing drugs. Like, I was doing whatever the fuck. Like, how am I going to think I'm not an addict at that point? You know what I mean? Like, dog. Bro, I was going through it for personal reasons. My way of getting out of that is doing drugs, partying, lifestyle.
Absolutely.
That kept me out of the fuck, you know, out of my head.
Absolutely.
So
and dude, like addiction, it's not necessarily a bad thing, dog. Right? You know what I mean? You're still an addict. I'm still an addict. Right. But we changed that vice. We changed that substance. We changed habits. We're still chasing that energy, right? That energy of like now it's like I'm addicted to working out. I'm addicted to becoming a better person. I'm addicted to putting myself in a strategic position, in a better position each year to financially support my reality, to level up my reality for my wife and for my kids. Right. So when they say don't replace an addiction with an addiction, personally, bro, I'm all for replacing an addiction with an addiction as long as it's positive.
Or you could look at it from a different perspective. I replace this addiction with good habits and different habits. Because I mean, habits, it's all the same shit.
I love that. I love that. And those are for the ones that don't necessarily gravitate towards replacing addiction with addiction. Replace it with the positive habits. Yeah. Habits that are gonna put yourself in a better position. You know what I mean? So
I got addicted to cutting hair. Yeah. I'm like, man, I need to make this perfect, you know? And bro. Shout out to that addiction because, you know, it blessed me.
Hey, man, and shout out to your movement, too, bro. You out here killing it, my boy.
Thank you, bro. I'm blessed, you know?
Yeah, so that's what got me into the prison. You know, I've been doing this. I've been doing this a lot. And they don't pay me to do it, homie. I don't get paid. I don't get paid to do this, dog. Right. You know what I mean? It's not even about money. It's about spreading that message. It's about showing these men that, bro, we can come from gang violence. We can come from addiction. We can probably necessarily not be the greatest father, but like you said, it's never too late to start.
Yeah,
you know
I think one of the best feelings too that you can't put a price on is speaking. Like I've spoke at the DT, I've spoke at Decker Lake, I've been to all these places. So it's one thing to, you know, make money and do whatever, but I went over there, bro, and they put me in the section in Decker Lake where the kids, they all damn near got, some of them got life. I think one was on a triple homicide. I was like, what the fuck? And they're all on the way to prison, bro. And for me to just kind of tell my story, be authentically me.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, can I wear my chains? Can I wear? And they're like, yeah, go ahead, man, wear that. I'm like, all right, cool. So I go in there and you know, humbly just be myself, tell them my journey, give them the tools to success. And at the end, when you're getting those engaging questions that you're like, oh, they're engaged. They're dialed in. They're not just sitting here like, oh, yeah, this is another motherfucker telling me stay out of trouble, which I've been there.
Absolutely.
If it ain't coming from the right person,
bro,
then it damn near feels like, bro, you feel like an officer. You feel like a motherfucking, like you're telling me what to do, bro. I don't want to do it. So when you do that and you're able to get through to that and you're getting those engaging questions and you're able to give them advice and mentorship, I feel like you can't put a price on that,
absolutely,
bro. That's one of the things I love doing. And I'm sure you, same thing, you know.
I love it, bro.
I feel like that's one of the blessings that we went through real dark times to be able to. That's a gift, you know.
Why would you not? To spread that information that you utilize to be better? You know what I mean? And like you were talking about you know, us going in with experience. You know, there's in the industry of rehabilitation and in the therapeutic industry, there's somewhat of a divide, right? You got clinicians and you got guys like myself. I don't got no clinician degree. I didn't go to therapy school to learn how to be a therapist. I didn't go to substance abuse treatment, but I got experience, right? So I got experience that could benefit someone that's currently struggling with that situation, right? So there was somewhat of a divide, right?
Right.
So now
I've been through this.
Absolutely. So
I've been right where
I got
you
my
are.
experience. I'm leveraging my experience. So now in the industry, we have they started this. It came from it first started out in Georgia, but they brought it out here. Appalachian Enterprise or something, but they brought it out here, which is called Certified Peer Support Specialist. So I got my CPSS certification. I'm a Certified Peer Support Specialist, and what it is I learned how to capitalize on my story to be able to bridge the gap because you're gonna have a lot of guys that don't relate to their therapist,
right?
That don't relate to substance abuse treatment, but when they have someone that's a peer, someone that came from addiction, someone that came from incarceration, that could be like, look, bro.
That takes that guard down.
Yeah, it takes it down, bro. So that's where I'm at right now. Like I said, in my position, dog, I've utilized my experience and I utilized my background and really my past to put myself in and make a career out of it. Right. So I'm the director of wellness and reentry at the Renaissance Ranch in Bluffdale, Utah. It's one of the leading wellness treatment centers in the state of Utah. You know what I mean? And my job is to get around guys who are struggling from addiction, struggling with incarceration, right? And motivate them. And be like, look, dog, this is how I did it.
Inspire them.
This is
show
how
them
I
hope.
did it, my
Give
boy.
them hope. Yeah.
Let's sit down. Let's have
like,
these.
Hey, I found a way out, homie.
Yeah, let's go.
Like,
right
we good.
Here.
Let's
Don't
go.
that way.
Yeah. Hey,
there's a big hole right
I got
there.
it, bro.
Let's
I got
go,
it. Yeah.
Homie. You know what I mean? So like I said, my story is unique. You know, my story is but there's many others that can live this same story, right? And I just happen to stay vibrating. Like I tell guys, I tell everybody who gets out of prison, I say, look, bro, we all started from the same starting line.
Right.
The only difference is I didn't stop. I didn't stop, get high, stop, get a charge, stop. You know, we did that our whole life. I just kept running, bro. You know what I mean? Kept running with it. Kept becoming better. Every day I'm getting better. Every day I'm getting stronger. I'm not perfect. You know what I mean? But I am the type of person to dissect myself and try to be better.
And I feel like an important thing too for any listeners that's been to prison or might be facing time. I feel like for me, one of the messages I like to deliver is your work starts in prison, which, absolutely. I mean, you've said this. You've been saying this the whole podcast.
Absolutely.
But it doesn't start. And I talked to my cousin, you know, I don't know if you know him, Hector Marino,
probably,
Renteria?
Bro.
Yeah.
Probably.
Well, anyways, I talked to him because he wants to get out and do good. He got that 15-year sentence. He's still getting in trouble there.
Absolutely.
You know, I damn near like, hey, what are you doing? He's like, I just got out the hole. Yeah. But guess what, bro? The habit you're doing right now is going to be out here. You don't think you just getting out the hole is going to translate to getting on parole? Oh, I just got a violation, bro. It's the same shit, bro.
Absolutely.
Tighten up, you know. But it is hard to tell somebody that's deep into it, you know, especially when it comes to gangs and putting yourself in that situation.
Yeah, and I know it's hard.
That's like something that, you know, for the young viewers, you know, like it gets to a point where a lot of people say, you know, you either die or, you know, you can die or go to prison. Like sometimes it is hard to get out.
Absolutely,
it's
dog.
hard to get out. You know, like he can't just throw in the towel right now.
No, it's hard to get out, but one day you're gonna get out. Remember that.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's like he was saying, there's like, bro, there's always ways to better yourself. You know what I mean? No matter what. Because I looked at it as one day I'm gonna get out. One day I'm gonna get out, homie. And don't get me wrong, dog. You got different cars. You a part of a car. I was a part of a car.
Right.
And it's like, look, homie, no matter what, the homies are not gonna come stab you for trying to get your high school diploma, dog. The homies are not gonna come stab you, dog, for trying to do life
and
skills.
the big thing, be a man first.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be a man first.
Absolutely. So any person that's on the way to prison or possibly living that life of man, there's a good chance you're gonna end up being incarcerated, bro. I would urge you to take that leap of faith as far as, bro, better yourself. You know what I mean? Better yourself in some way, shape, or form. Don't come out the same way you went in, or worse. Yeah, or worse, dog.
Yeah. There's some motherfuckers that are like, oh man, I just figured out how to be a better criminal. I just figured out, like,
absolutely,
nah,
bro.
Man, you wasting your time, bro. You wasted your time. You're gonna be back for probably even longer stretches.
Absolutely.
If you're not gonna get out and benefit yourself.
Yeah, man. And you look, dog. I got out in 2019. I never looked back since being out, dog. I've been in numerous countries, dog.
Right.
I went on.
Yeah. That's what I wanted to ask. Like, how many, like, traveling wise, man,
bro?
Since I've been following you on Instagram, I'm like, damn, where's Smaqs at
yeah,
now,
dog.
man? Like,
hey, you
man,
got some traveling too.
You need to do a separate YouTube vlog, bro.
I know.
Yo, what up, man? This is Smaqs in DR. You know
dude,
what
we
I'm
were just out there in Italy. You know, I went to Greece.
Yeah.
Since being out, I've been to Puerto Rico.
Damn.
I've been to Costa Rica. You know what I mean? And by far, dog, I think Greece was probably the best place.
Bet.
And like I said, dog, when you're vibrating at a high frequency, dog, and you've been doing the positive work, dog. God opens up the doors around you, and he moves the universe to manifest whatever it is that you want in your life. If you're giving positivity, you're gonna reciprocate positivity.
Right.
You're gonna get that back. And God sees the work we do. So just because you think, oh man, I'm doing all this work and it's going unseen, oh, it's not going unseen.
No.
So you know, God.
When opportunities come to your lap, you're like,
absolutely.
damn, like, I prayed for this.
God put me in a position where.
And then also on the opposite spectrum. And
Absolutely.
you're out there doing bad and you're doing this and you think you're getting away. Like,
nah, homie.
Even as simple as like little small stealing and shit like that. Like, yo, bro, you're going to all of a sudden get a flat tire and be like, what the fuck?
I be telling
them,
don't get mad when you step in the ring and get punched in the face. If you out there in the street and that falls along, you know you got boxing, so you know, don't get mad you step in the ring and you get socked in the face, because that's what's going to happen. So when you're out there living that life and you get slapped with that with that L, you get slapped with that aggravated robbery charge for pushing somebody over from taking a 40 ounce, homie, don't be mad. Don't be mad. You know what I mean? So,
you know, don't play victim.
Yeah.
Take some, you know, at that point you got to just man up, take some accountability.
Absolutely.
And be like, you know what, man, I did this to me.
Absolutely.
And I think that's probably one of the biggest things that I feel like our, you know, the youngsters and the culture kind of lacks, you know, is accountability. Because that,
bro.
for me, that was one of the biggest words and you know, things that helped me grow. It's like, damn, man, like I put myself here. I used to think, oh, I got snitched on. I got this. I got that. That's why I went to prison. This happened. That happened.
Yeah, bro.
I had every excuse in the book until, like I said, I was in the Hope program, and they're pounding accountability, integrity. Yeah, man.
Gunny,
like, accountability, integrity, and I'm just sitting here like, this dumbass shit. But really, when I sat down and took it for what it was, you know, because I'm always a man that likes to grow myself.
Absolutely,
I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give this a shot. I'm actually taking what they're shooting out, and that type of shit like kind of helped me not go back.
Absolutely,
you know, because
bro.
like if I'm taking accountability, it's because I was around the wrong
Absolutely.
people. I was doing dumb shit. I was being sloppy. I was
accountability
doing this,
keeps you growing.
Okay,
dog.
how am I gonna like? I learned from that. Now I'm less likely to come back.
Absolutely, and I'm sure you still practice that accountability to this day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like I said, so as soon as I got off parole, dog, I went straight to get my passport, homie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's fire.
I went straight to get my passport,
Right.
homie. And bro, ever since then, dog, it's like, bro, like, dude, I'm like, homie, like, you see my videos, dog?
Yeah.
I'm not different. I've not changed.
Like,
You looking at
I'm
someone
out
that
here,
sat in a cell, bro. I'm out here in Tuscany. I'm out here in Rome. I'm out here in all these different places. I'm out here in Greece, Santorini, dog. We was over there in Santorini.
Yeah.
Costa Rica, Puerto Rico, Hawaii.
And just even like I've talked to a lot of people and motherfuckers that been through the system and shit. Like man, just a trip to Vegas is like something they never experienced,
Absolutely,
you know. But to
bro.
actually travel the country, go to see these other places. I send pictures to my family and my cousins locked up, you know.
Man.
And my homie's like, damn, bro, you took me on vacation with you. Like, I'm over here showing
Absolutely,
everybody your pictures
dog.
and this. You know, I'm over here fucking seeing Chichen Itza, all this,
Absolutely,
you know, going to
bro.
Guatemala, going to all these
Man, I
places.
love that, dog.
And to me, I've had people get out of federal prison because they were around my cousin and come to the shop and be like, yo, bro, you know, your cousin talks about, he showed me your pictures,
Man,
like
I
your
love
story,
that,
like,
dog.
and to me it's like, bro, like inspiring behind the walls because of what we're doing
Absolutely,
is
bro.
a different blessing, you know.
Man,
So
I love
I
that.
try to live life for whoever, you know, to inspire, you know. Sometimes I'm like,
Absolutely.
man, I do some crazy shit, but at the end of the day, like, I definitely have purpose and method, you know,
For
method
sure,
behind my
dog.
madness, you know.
I like to
because-
say a man that's a man without purpose is a boat aimlessly wandering through
Right.
the ocean, bro. You know what I mean? It's important for us to find our purpose, and bro, our purpose most likely, for the most part, has nothing to do with us,
right,
and it has everything
Straight
to
up.
do with everybody else. As far as when I say everybody else, it has everything to do with helping everybody
Right.
else, somebody else.
And
you know
there's
what I mean?
situations that I've been in where I should have died.
Oh, bro.
And I can't even tell you how many times, bro, where there's people that are dead with less scars than me.
Oh, man.
That
I know.
I'm just like, yo, God put me here for a different reason. And then there's
Absolutely.
certain times in my life where I do shit that I'm like, yo, I just really helped that person out. Or I just really was able to speak to these people. I was really, you know, I'm like,
Absolutely, dog.
that's my reason why I'm here still. That's why God saved me in those dark moments or these crazy moments where I should have been dead, where I've seen people next to me. You know what I mean? Like, hey, man.
Absolutely, dog.
That's why a lot of times I even tell people, like, I don't regret shit. I don't regret going to prison. I don't regret doing
As
all
you
this dumb
shouldn't.
shit, man, because and I'm definitely not saying that you got to go through all the shit that
No.
we've been through. It's like, okay, so there's a smart person is going to be able to watch you and not go through the shit you're going
Absolutely.
through and get to where you're at without all the bullshit.
And,
you
and
know,
that's
like,
our purpose, dog.
Right.
I see you mentoring. I see you doing a lot of mentoring work, dog. Where
Yeah.
you're mentoring young guys, homie. And like I said, they don't necessarily have to go what we went through, bro.
Right.
And for us to be in that position where we're doing our best to either mentor adults or mentor the youth, bro.
Yeah.
It's purpose, dog.
Yeah.
It's purpose, my boy. You know what
That's
I
why
mean?
we're
So
blessed.
I love what you do. Love what you've
Hell
been
yeah,
doing.
likewise, bro.
Man, that's why when you hit me up, dog, I was like, man, I was like, I seen you doing your podcast. I was like, man, dog,
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
And then for me too, man, is a message to the viewers. You know, like I feel like I got a good following, you got a good
Absolutely.
following, and a lot of the times we're leaders in the community
Absolutely.
because we have family, friends,
Yep.
kids, you know, that are going through it. They might be going through the shit we was going through, you know, and who better to reach them than somebody
Absolutely,
like,
my
damn,
boy.
that's my uncle, that's my cousin, you know.
Absolutely.
I got family
dog.
members that'll be like, yo, man, you see Albert? Yeah, he's rich, and I'm
Yeah,
I'm
dog.
over here like, shit, where the bag at? You
No,
know, like
that's how it be.
But we're rich with experience, with
Absolutely,
success,
dog.
with influence. We're
Of
rich with
substance,
you
my
know.
boy. For sure, dog. I love that, homie.
Yeah.
And bro, and just us doing what we do and living the life that we live as far as what we live now and what we've lived then, it's gonna benefit men and children
Right.
and people for the rest of our lives, dog.
Yeah, there's
Because
probably shit we
I'm not
can't even
planning on
see.
shutting up about
Yeah.
what I've been through.
Right.
And a lot of guys do. A lot of guys are embarrassed about it, homie. I'm not embarrassed about my past.
Right.
My past does not define me. My past laid the positive building blocks in order for me to propel myself through the future, in the future, for my wife and my kids. So why would I keep that information to myself? Why would I covet that information and say, nah, I'm not going to tell nobody about
Yeah,
this.
we ain't
I'm going to
gatekeepers.
spread that.
Right.
And continue to spread that. You know what I mean? So, bro, it's all on us, homie.
Hell
Honestly,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Cool. So we're gonna going towards the end. So I got a question for you. If you could sit down with the younger version of yourself, what's one thing you would you tell him?
I think I would tell myself, you know, it's something that I think it's like something that I've seen before. It's somewhere along the lines of, you know, the killer of all joy is comparison. You know what I mean? A lot of times when we're comparing ourselves to other people or other kids, or comparing myself to what I have and what they have, you know what I mean? That causes us to act a certain way and portray a certain character of ourselves that's not necessarily the most beneficial. You know what I mean? So that could correlate to adults and children. the killer of all joy is comparison. Let's not compare ourselves to other people. Let's not waste our energy comparing ourselves to what someone else got, to what someone else's reality looks like. Focus on your reality. Be content and be grateful for what you have in your life, because that's going to open up the abundance of to manifest anything you want in your life. It's staying in a life of being content and grateful, and just be happy for who you are and what you are. You know what I mean? Celebrate yourself. You know, I'm going to be talking to some kids on October 3rd at a school that's, you know, all kids on probation, all kids with charges. Some of them got sex beefs too, dog. And it's a charter school of kids that are just struggling, homie. And you know, the message that the basis of my message is going to be, I can't love you more than you love yourself. You know what I mean? No matter what hardships you're going through, loving yourself is the most important love that you're going to carry throughout your whole life. Because that love is going to keep you from experiencing negative situations, because you love and you care about yourself. So, you know, a lot of kids may not have that love, may not have the parents, may not have the dad, may not have the mom, but you got to find that love in yourself, because when it comes down to it, it's the love that you have for yourself that's going to matter the most when nobody's around. You know what I mean? That's fan, bro. I can't wait. I'm excited to go do that. Thank you, homie. I'm excited for that.
Well, shit, man, that sounds like a good note to wrap it up, man.
Appreciate you, my boy.
Appreciate you, big dog.
It's
Smaqs.
always good.
How do they find you, man? Where do they find
man.
you at?
So you guys can go tap into my my TikTok, Smaqs, SMAQS.MAFIAUSO. On Instagram, SMAQS. MAFIAUSO, Smaqs Mafioso. You know what I mean? Like my videos, go watch my videos. I got a lot of prison content. I got a lot of content for what I've been doing in the community. You know, I collaborate a lot with my boy Mr. Regal, my boy Albert, man. I got a lot of love for you, bro. And man, I knew I had to pull up on you, and I knew the conversation was finna be heat.
Let's
you
go.
know what I mean, my boy?
Hey, follow us on YouTube,
Let's go.
Facebook, Instagram, everything. Hey, thank y'all.
Behind the chair, run it up.
Regal behind the chair. Hey, stay tuned for the next one.
Let's go.